Harvard University is at risk of losing $9 billion in federal funds as the U.S. launches a review. Tyrone Bowman, live. Welcome to the program. Let's get started right now. According to Reuters news agency, here's what's happening, and this is a brief summary. $9 billion in funds is being reviewed as part of Trump's anti-Semitism effort. I'll talk more about that in a moment. The Trump administration says funding is contingent on accountability over harassment. And the focus on Harvard follows targeting of other elite colleges. The Trump administration said on Monday that it was reviewing $9 billion in federal contracts and grants awarded to Harvard University, part of a crackdown on what it says is anti-Semitism on college campuses. The Department of Education, Health, and Human Services and the U.S. General Services Administration said in a written statement that $255.6 million in $255.6 million in federal in contracts between Harvard, its affiliates, and the federal government were being reviewed, along with $8.7 billion in multi-year grant commitments. The investigation is the latest move by the Trump administration to pressure American universities to change their policies on a number of issues at the heart of cultural wars that have beset the U.S. in recent years. Supporters of Trump's efforts say it is a long-needed check on far-left extremism at U.S. colleges. Critics say the crackdown is a draconian overreaction that stomps on academic freedom and the rights to free speech. Now, let me read something here from the Constitution of the United States. According to the Constitution of the United States, under the heading of the Bill of Rights, Amendment 1, Congress shall make no law representing an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, quote, unquote. So are they trying to say that freedom of speech is only given to Republicans? Freedom of speech is only afforded to the MAGA extremists? Freedom of speech is only afforded to those who voted for President Trump? And nobody else has freedom of speech? But that's not what the Constitution says. Freedom of speech is for everyone. Let me read that again. The First Amendment. It's about freedom of religion, speech, and the press, rights of assembly and petition. Quote, Congress shall make no law representing or respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, quote, close quote. Every person in America has the right to free speech. Every person in America has a right to their own specificity of faith, belief, religion. I'm only telling you what the Constitution says. That didn't say that only the Republicans have the right to free speech. It didn't say that only the MAGA voters who voted for Trump have the right to free speech. That's not what it says. And far left extremism simply means Democrats, black people. So the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of fascism. Well, the fascists are already taken over the government. The socialists are already at work. Let me get back to this article. Now listen to this. The focus on Harvard comes after the Trump administration this month canceled $400 million in federal funding for fellow Ivy League school Columbia University. It was the epicenter of anti-Israel protests that broke out on college campuses following the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack inside Israel. and Israel's subsequent incursion in Gaza, the Palestinian enclave controlled by Hamas. Protesters, including some Jewish groups, say the administration conflates their criticism of U.S. ally Israel's assault on Gaza with anti Semitism and their support for Palestinian rights as sympathy for Hamas. Ladies and gentlemen, protect your right to free speech. Protect your right to be able to protest peacefully. Be careful who you vote for. Be careful who you put in office. Know what each individual stands for. And don't allow yourself to be caught up in slogans. And if an individual can't tell you exactly what their policies are, if they have a quote, concept of a plan, close quote, you need to be suspicious of that. And think things over. Think for yourself. Read for yourself. Research for yourself. It doesn't matter how many executive orders are passed. No one can stop you and I from learning. No one can stop us from growing. No one can stop us from going to the libraries and buying books and learning of the history of other cultures, ethnicities, and nationalities. I do this all the time. It's fascinating what you can find in a book. I don't depend upon anybody to teach me. I'm teaching myself. And I encourage you all, do your own research. Do your own studying. Become your own teacher. If you don't like the way the school system is going, take your children out, homeschool them, or put them in private schools. It's just that simple. If you don't like the government saying closing down on this, close down on that, you can't teach this, you can't teach that, guess what? If the children don't show up, teachers don't have a job. It's just that simple. So you and I have to become self-educated, self-motivated, self-inspired, self-reliant. Don't depend upon anything, anyone, or anybody. Listen, I believe in me. I believe in the capabilities and the talents and gifts and the intelligence that the Creator has endowed me with. And you all should be doing the same thing. So, in addition to targeting funds, immigration and customs enforcement agents have detained some foreign student protesters in recent weeks and are working to deport them. Earlier this month, the Trump administration suspended the $175 million in funding to the University of Pennsylvania, another Ivy League school, over its transgender sports policies. You have to pay attention to what's going on here. Let me tell you all something. Hitler came to power just like this. Everything that Hitler did in Germany, he did it in accordance with the law. Just because it was legal did not make it moral. Search history for yourselves. I'm not making this up. The Nazi Party, the Nazi regime rose because of one man's discontentment, one man's anti-Semitic hate, one man's bigotry, one man's prejudice, and he influenced a whole nation. Read the book Mein Kampf. Translated in English, it means my story. Adolf Hitler. I read the book 3 times from cover to cover, from word for word. The Department of Education this month sent a letter to 60 universities, including Harvard, warning that it could bring enforcement actions against them under the now listen to this, under the Title IV of the Civil Rights Act if they failed to protect Jewish students on their campuses. It said anti-Semitic eruptions had disrupted life at elite schools around the country. Title IV of the Civil Rights Act was used during the Civil Rights era. All lives are important. I'll say that again. All lives are important. Harvard's failure to protect students on campus from anti Semitic discrimination, all while promoting divisive ideologies over free inquiry, has put its reputation in serious jeopardy, said Secretary of Education Linda McMahon. She's going to say anything Trump wants her to say. Harvard can right these wrongs and restore itself to a campus dedicated to academic excellence and truth seeking, where all students feel safe on its campus, except black students. What? Yeah, you got a problem with that? Except black students. I'll say it again, accept black students. You couldn't pay me to go to Harvard. You could give me a full academic scholarship and I'd decline it. I would not go. Never. Because I know the history behind it. And Yale, DePaul, Purdue, Vanderbilt, the list goes on and on and on. Harvard did not immediately respond to a request for comment, though it has previously said it opposes discrimination of all kinds and had put into place a task force to tackle bias against Jews and Arabs. Harvard and other elite universities came into the crosshairs of conservatives in late 2023 when the president of Harvard, the University of Pennsylvania, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology appeared before a congressional committee looking into a rise in anti Semitism on campuses. Former Harvard President Claudine Gay, along with other school teachers, declined to give a definitive yes or no answer when asked if calling for the genocide of Jews would violate their school's codes of conduct regarding bullying and harassment, saying they had to balance it against free speech protections. Claudine, the former president of Harvard, Claudine Gay was a scholar, an academician. She was a black woman. You know, America has a long way to go. And America is going in a direction that a lot of people in the end are going to regret. Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit.